Thank you. Please be seated. Well, last week we talked about how we are very comfortable in our comfort zones until we make that big leap, and then all of a sudden we're in the flow, we're living the dream, everything is working for our good, we've expanded our capacity for goodness. And when this happens, if we are not fully prepared in consciousness, or if even we are not fully grounded in consciousness, we have one of those exponential experiences called the upper limit. We have what appears to be something really bad happen. So we can get sick, we can get in an accident, we can get in an argument or a fight with somebody we shouldn't, and all of a sudden we seem to be crumbling down because we've been flying so high, and what's really happening here? And what we're really engaging in is that humanistic tendency to self-sabotage when things get too good so we can return to stasis. Now there's a whole nother kind of problem or set of problems that goes on that are insidious. They don't have as much drama. They don't bring as much attention. They don't seem to call out quite so loudly. And this is what I call safe problems. They're the problems that we have right on the edge of our green growing edge of becoming. They're right there, but they're so normal that we don't even notice them going on. And I'm going to put a list up here on the PowerPoint so you can see. Let me get on this side. I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to start. I need to learn more about that. Clearly, more research is required. I need to grow more before I'm ready to take that on. I need help doing it. I need a partner. I need a buddy. I need a cohort. I'm in overwhelm already. How could I possibly take on one more thing? I'm too tired, or I'm just too busy. You don't have to raise your hand, but I imagine that you see yourself up there. It's sort of like, I know that I have a nose on my face. I know that I have it because I can feel it, and people tell me that I have it, and I see it in the mirror, but I don't think about it. Just like I don't think about these safe problems that are going on in my life all the time. And it's really more these problems than anything that keeps us from living our dream, from living the life, from taking that leap, because we're so busy handling these things. We're so busy being afraid. We're so, please don't hurt me. Please don't yell at me. Please, if I did that, somebody might not like me. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I'm too overwhelmed. I need more time. I need more research. I really don't know how to do that yet. I need somebody to work with. So these are all safe problems. Well, I'm not the only person who's inviting you to jump into that expanded state of goodness. Here's Steve Harvey, who's a stand-up comedian. He's a TV host. He's a motivational speaker, and he writes books, and he gets on Oprah, and he does all kinds of things. He's going to tell us a little bit about it right there.
Okay, here's the deal. If you want to be successful, here's the thing you have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to dash off that cliff, and you got to jump out there as far as you can. Now, a lot of times you stand on the cliff of life and you see other people soaring by, gliding down like a bird flying through the air. You know, they going over to the south of France. You see them on a boat somewhere. You see their family vacationing here, their family vacationing there. You see them dressing like this. You see them in New York, then you see them in London. They flying by. You know why? It's because their parachute open. But the only way to get your parachute to open so you can soar, you got to jump. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem, my friends. When you jump, I can assure you one thing. You listening? I promise you this. Your parachute will not open right away. No, that's the fear part. I promise you, your parachute will not open right away. You're gonna hit them sides and them rocks. You're gonna tear your back out on them cliffs. You're gonna cut yourself. You're gonna get wounded. You're gonna get some tears and stuff like that. But eventually, the parachute will open and you'll be soaring. But here's the other caveat. Let me teach you this right here. If you do not jump, I promise you one thing, your parachute will never open. So you're safe, but you'll never soar. You got to jump. I got to go.
Isn't that the truth? It's on YouTube. You can just Google Steve Harvey and jump, and you'll get it in case you need to get that daily reminder or more frequent than every Sunday reminder to jump. When we jump, and we have jumped before, like we're not strangers to jumping. There's a genius in us, and I imagine that every person in this room, well, I know you have a genius, but you've had a taste of your own genius. You've had a flavor of it. You've had an experience of it. You're a genius teacher, and you got to teach students. You're a genius executive, and you got to lead people in organizations. You're a genius designer, and you got to create designs and solutions. You're a genius pet setter, or you're a genius counselor, or you're a genius. I'm looking at Jill back there. You were a genius baggage handler. You are an absolute, I mean, it's like we have that genius in us, and we know it because we've done it. We don't do it every day, but it's like we know what that feels like. So all we have to do is set our safe problems aside and jump. When I was the associate minister at Unity Church of Hawaii, I had the opportunity to become the interim minister at Unity of Melbourne in Australia. So I jumped. I jumped because not only could I have that solo experience that I wasn't getting in my home church, I could put systems into place to support the new minister. I could work with programming to sustain the ministry, that thriving ministry there. And I had a guarantee of a job when I was done without going back to Hawaii. So I jumped. Guess how long it took me to recreate my safe problem in Melbourne, Australia? Do you know what my safe problem is? Do you know what my safe problem? Some of you know me. I'm just saying I have one. Guess which one it is. I'm not even going to be offended because you can probably see it just like you see the nose on my face. I am too busy. That is my safest safe problem. Did you guys get it in the back? Yes, they got it in the back. See, she got it. It's obvious. I mean, I'm too busy, and that's what I say. I'm sorry I didn't call you. I was too busy. I'm sorry I didn't do this. I was too busy. Da 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 da. I was too busy. It took me 3 weeks in Melbourne, Australia, to recreate Too Busy, because I felt like people had started the pushback, and I felt wounded, and I felt bruised, and I felt battered, and I felt unappreciated. So if I was busy, I could be safe. But what came with that safe problem was I also played small. I also didn't have the opportunity to make new friends. I didn't have the opportunity to savor my experience. I didn't have the opportunity to soar. I didn't have the opportunity to pop my parachute. It took me, well, let's see, that was 2010. It took me another 3 years to become a solo minister again. But I recognize now that that was my fallback, that was my safe problem. Ralph Waldo Emerson says this: let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. That bloated nothingness, those are our safe problems. They have no value other than to serve as obstructions to our divine circuits. Last week we had 3 affirmations. It is my divine right and my divine destiny to live an abundant life of joy. It is my divine right and my divine destiny to live an abundant life of peace. It is my divine right and my divine destiny to live an abundant life of love. That's what life is all about. It's not about bloated nothingness. It's not about saved problems. Jesus says it a little bit different. He says, enter ye in by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many are they that enter in thereby. For narrow is the gate, and straitened the way that leadeth unto life, and few are they that find it. Metaphysically, the broad gate is that duality, that belief in both good and evil. It's our attention to lack. It's our belief that we're not enough. We don't have enough time or knowledge or energy or attentiveness. We don't have enough. We make ourselves busy or overwhelmed or tired because we believe that there can be both. Metaphysically, the narrow gate is all about, in Charles Fillmore, our co-founder's words, it's all about conforming to the truth. It's about recognizing the truth. It's about seeing the truth. And I'm talking about the truth with a capital T. The truth is that it is our divine right and our divine destiny to have an abundant life. We live in an abundant universe. That's truth with a capital T. I really almost prefer the Message translation of Matthew 7:13 and 14. Don't look for shortcuts to God. The market is flooded with surefire, easygoing formulas for a successful life that can be practiced in your spare time. Who has spare time? Don't fall for that stuff, even though crowds of people do. The way to life, to God, is vigorous and requires our total attention. Metaphysically, the way to life, the way to God, is our own I am. That power, I am, our Christ nature. It is our spiritual pattern for perfection. That is the way to God, to remember that it's already here. We don't have to go out and find something to do it. We just have to get that bloated nothingness out of the way and recommit to the power, the wonder, the perfection, the amazingness, the genius that we are, to recommit to our holy purpose. We're created in the image and likeness of God, not as a cookie cutter, but as our own unique way. And when we place our vigorous attention on the prize, on the goal, on the power of the I am that lives in us, we can do anything. We don't need excuses. We can do anything. There was an Indian sage many, many centuries ago, and he was teaching his disciples the power of attention, the power of focus and concentration. So he took them out to the archery range, and he walked across the range, and he put down a wooden bird on the far end as a target. And he came back to them, and he said, the objective today is to hit the bird in the eye. And all the disciples said, yes, 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 we will do that. So he asked the first disciple, he says, what do you see? Tell me what you see. And the disciple says, I see the trees, I see the branches, I see the leaves, I see the sky, I see the clouds, I see the bird, and I see the eye of the bird. And the sage nodded his head and went on to the second disciple. So the second disciple, he says, tell me what you see. And the second disciple says, I only see the eye of the bird. So the master, the sage, gave that second disciple the bow and the arrow. The disciple took aim, and he hit that wooden bird right in the eye. Well, to me, the moral of the story, the moral of the parable, is that when we only see our genius, when we only see our Christ, when we only recognize our I am, that's when we live a full life. We don't need safe problems. We don't have to worry about upper limits. We don't have to worry about any of that because we are being who we are born to be. And there are some ways we can support ourselves with paying attention. Number one, auditory, bringing ourselves back to the truth with an affirmation. We speak affirmations in service. I invite you to say affirmations during the week. They're easy to say. Probably the simplest ones are, I am a beloved expression of God. I am here for a holy purpose. I am at the right place at the right time right now. Or we can be really creative with our auditory attention. We can chant songs. We can sing songs. I am as God created me in the light and the love and the glory. I mean, there you are in the grocery store. Remembering that you're the light of God, you're the love of God. How cool is that? Second one is visual. Putting color and dimension, because some of us are visual learners. And so visually, the easiest way for us to recommit is to have something we can look at, whether we put it in color, whether we highlight it, whether we paint it, whether we are so creative we make an entire vision board. If we put something visual in front of us and we respond to visual cues, this is the way to go. The third way is tactile. I love TheraBands because I can watch them stretch. I am strong and getting stronger. Well, I don't do it like that, but I am strong and getting stronger. I am wise and getting wiser. Try it. I am wise and getting wiser. See how that feels, that it's like so tactile. Which brings us to number 3, movement, dancing, moving, putting the truth in our body. Some ministers tell the really bad joke about doing the abun dance. See, it's a really bad joke. But there's actually ancient wisdom associated with movement. They're called mudras, and we do a mudra when we have our offering blessing, and I'm sure some of you are like, why do we do that mudra when we have our offering blessing? But think about it. We're touching our heart chakra twice, divine love through me, and then we're applying the law of expansion, blesses and multiplies. Look, it even gets bigger on the second one. All that I am divine. And then we participate in the law of circulation. All that I give and all that I receive. We're putting truth in our body. So we're hearing it, we're seeing it, we're feeling it, we're in our body. But perhaps the most spiritual of all is putting our attention in prayer. Charles Fillmore says that prayer is the most highly accelerated mind action known. And Sue Seeking, who is another Unity minister and Unity writer, says true prayer is not asking for things, not even the best things. True prayer is the lifting of the consciousness to the place where these things are. So what a wonderful way to take our attention away from the duality, the wide gate, from our safe problems, and place them on the narrow gate. In your bulletin, there is a prayer request form. It's the same prayer request form that we keep up here and by our other prayer boxes. And so here's what I want you to do is, well, if you want to, I invite you to take out that prayer request form, take out a writing instrument. If you need a prayer request form or a pencil or a pen, raise your hand. Our welcome team is all over it. They're on their way up. So just thank you, Nancy, and over there keeping your hand up. So here's what I want you to do. Please pray with me. Put your name. Make your name known. That is part of your I am. I release my attachment to my safe problem of blank. You may have a hybrid. You may have just one dominant safe problem. You may have 3. I don't know, but you know. So here's why I'm inviting you to write your name, and then you say, I release my attachment to my safe problem of la, 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 la. And then on the bottom line, I commit to an abundant life. So we're denying that that safe problem has any power over us, and we're stepping in, we're conforming to the truth with a capital T of who and what we are. I'm going to invite Tom to play a little bit as we step into our powerful selves, our releasing of any bloated attachment to something that is keeping us from being fully alive, from living our dream, from being the best, the absolute best that we can be. And as you complete your form, pass it this way, pass it this way, pass it this way. And our welcome team is in the back. They have our 3 different prayer boxes, and they're going to come forward with those prayer boxes and collect them. So you don't have to put it anywhere where anyone else might see it. This is between you and God. You and yourself. We hold these sacred for 30 days. Here, come on forward, Gail, and people can see you. And when you finish writing your prayer sheet, hold it up. And we have 3 of the most beautiful prayer boxes in the Unity movement. We are honored to be with you in prayer. If you ever have a moment you forget, and it's not regular business hours for Unity of Wilmington, you are always welcome to call 1-800-NOW-PRAY, which is Silent Unity. And the prayer associates there are phenomenal. They have a new vice president, and I'm telling you, the whole consciousness has just ratcheted up. If you haven't called them lately, call them today and say, I just want to hear your prayers. I hear they're good. I'm celebrating today that I got out of bed, that I went to Unity of Wilmington, that I made a commitment to live an abundant life. If you feel like you need more time, the prayer boxes will be there on the way out. We got the back row over here and more over there. And for the rest of us, let's prepare to come into a time of meditation.